So, welcome everyone. My name is Lucas and I work for Green Schools and I'm the travel officer for County Mayo, and my job in this county is to make sure that, that the schools, both primary and secondary school, kind of get back onto using sustainable transport. Okay? If you don't know what sustainable transport is the thing that we were born with, so it's our legs mostly, right? And we're also trying to encourage maybe use of public transport like bus and stuff. But one of the things that is we really are passionate about is cycling. Right? Cycling is one of the most wonderful things that human can do. I'm sure that the girls that we invited here to talk to you today will definitely touch on this kind of aspect of cycling. And working over the years with the travel program, we found out that really there isn't many girls, and especially in teenage years, cycling, and we were wondering why. And I don't want to spoil everything, so I'll give it later on to the panelists. But the whole event today is all about discussing this. Okay, so idea really is to have an honest conversation. Okay, so if we want to change things. So if the things were all right, first of all, we wouldn't have this event, and we would probably have thousands of people sitting. This would be a thing that everybody would talk about. And I think one of my struggles when organizing this event is just trying to attract people to come in to, talk about these issues. And it seems that there is some kind of resistance. There's something that, nobody talks about maybe. And I was hoping. This is only a beginning. This is the first of these events nationwide, and I hope we will kick off with a good, honest conversation with the girls, both that are actually we're concerned about and we want to empower, and also maybe more mature girls to maybe show some example and talk about their experience. And I'm really grateful, first of all, for Mayo Sports Partnership to helping us organize all this with all these wonderful things like organizing the venue and advertise and tapping into the network. I would like to thank Rebecca, who's kind of event manager at Green Schools, and lovely panelists as well that Angelina will introduce in a moment. And really just to giving your time and your energy to come and to speak out. And really showing up, right? Because that's sometimes the most difficult, is to show up and say, I'm here, I care about this stuff, right? And I really hope you enjoy this. Thanks very much. Now, do we shoot off with the video? Okay, so the whole thing started with video,
turn off the lights, Lucas.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah. No, there's one. That's a two, yeah. That's it.
So this was the beginning of the campaign, the girls that we started with a couple of months ago.
Hi, Robin.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Lovely to meet you.
You too.
So now I know this all might look a little bit intimidating.
I used to cycle a lot. In first year when I first started, I was so self-conscious about it.
I felt like everything was like stopping me from cycling to school.
Fear of being judged by people.
Loads of the lads cycle to school.
They just see girls as like dresses and skirts and makeup, and like boys as like bikes and like athletic stuff.
Peer pressure is literally everything.
This sounds really stupid, but I really do think the helmet is such a big part of it. If you see a lad on a bike, it's not really different. You just think of it as, yeah. But like if you see a girl on a bike in her uniform or something, it's different.
I feel like you just need one person to do it.
There's something better than just like cycling and just seeing like the canal for me, like the whole like stretch along.
Instead of a 30-minute walk, it was like a 5-minute cycle.
I've completely got back into it.
The way you can push yourself and then after you just feel so great.
Like I don't like the fact that other girls would be like, oh, I would never get on a bike because of what they think, when like they won't ever get to experience like how it actually feels and stuff like that.
You're sweaty and you look awful, but like you just feel good about yourself.
Yesterday when I went for a cycle, I saw two of my old friends like on the road, and they're two boys, and like I saw them being like like, what's she doing on a bike? But I didn't care. Like, I gave them a big smile and waved.
Oh, people are gonna look at me, like people are gonna see me. I'm like, yeah.
You're your own person, you do you.
I think you build up this mental state of like, oh God, oh no, this lack of confidence in yourself that's probably associated with other things, and you're like, hold on, it's a bike.
Yeah. So before we start, we also invited a lovely girl from St. Joseph's that represents County Mayo in a lot of competitions. She's becoming a great star, Maeve Gallagher, right?
Yeah.
And because she couldn't come, she sent us a very quick message for us all as well to see. So just going to play this and we're going to start.
Hi everyone, hope you're enjoying the evening and feeling inspired to get out on your bikes. Sorry I can't be there with you, I'm away competing in South Africa. However, I'm delighted to see such a fantastic campaign is up and running. I myself love cycling and I've had many amazing experiences between riding in Mayo Sportifs to the World Championships in Austria. So I would encourage all of you to saddle up and enjoy the numerous benefits that cycling has to offer, and I hope to see you out on the road soon.
It's all a bit bright now.
It was better in the dark.
Dark, yeah.
Can everyone hear us okay up here, or would they prefer the radio mic? You're okay, you're happy enough, just as long as everyone is happy with that. So I want to say a huge thanks to Lucas and to the Mayo Sports Partnership, as always. Deirdre and Charlie are here with us, for having me here this evening, because just even watching the video again, and when Lucas initially contacted me about this evening's event and this entire project and this series of roadshows, I was very shocked to realise that girls felt as self-conscious, or the figure was that low for girls cycling to school or cycling to wherever they need to go to. The video there, it probably paints the picture for the minority, according to the figures that we've seen. So I'm interested to hear a little bit more about the research and chat to some of the panellists here and tease out a little bit about what is stopping or holding girls back from doing this. And sometimes when I sit on panels like this, especially when it's about female orientated sport, and I have done over the years in my previous career, I think it's not that bad, because we've excelled, especially in this county, at a number of grades and different disciplines of sport. So this kind of saddens me a little bit, because I'd always be the one taking the positive side of it. So we'll tease things out a little bit and see exactly what those issues are. So what I might do, just to get everyone involved, is get everyone just to give us it's like a support group, isn't it? It is really, in a way. Maybe just introduce themselves and just a line about themselves. So we might start here. Is that okay?
Yeah. So my name is Anne Sylvie. I'm a student in St. Joseph's Secondary School, and well, I like cycling because I do it every day to school. It's just a quick way to get around for me.
Hi, I'm Fiona Minish. I go to David College, and I just find cycling fun. I just do it in my free time.
Hi, I'm Ian Minish. I'm from David College as well. I find cycling really freeing, and it can take you places.
Hi, I'm Ariadne Gomez Kelly from Sacred Heart School, and for me cycling was more about promoting the environmental benefits, which I was very involved in my junior years at secondary school. Not so much in Leaving Cert now, but
is there something about an exam or something you have to do?
Yeah. I'm Saoirse, and I was asked to do it because I cycled across Europe a few years ago.
My name is Catherine Sullivan. I'm a fitness instructor here at Leisure Complex and with the Movement. I also play with Mayo Ladies senior football team. I got involved here today through Lucas, obviously, just to talk about girls in sport first of all, and just some cycling experience I have for myself. I use cycling as recovery more so than anything else, and in no way competitive at all, but I hop on the bike, clear the head, out for a cycle, and cycle to work anytime I can with the weather and stuff. So don't have an exciting story like cycling across Europe, but different stories I suppose we'll talk about.
Hi there everybody, my name is Katrina Cunningham and I work as a Green Schools Travel Officer in County Galway and also as well in Mayo sometimes to help Lucas out with this campaign. And I've been cycling since I was a teenager. I'm from Mayo originally but now living in Galway, and I really enjoy cycling. I use it as a mode of transport and just to relax as well.
Okay, so give them a big round of applause. We're delighted to have them all with us. I suppose it's great to see the variety that's here. Saoirse, I just want to maybe home in on, because like Catherine, I think I've maybe cycled the pink ribbon a couple of times, but cycling across Europe, go back to the start of that, or what brought you to that point? I presume, or did you wake up one morning and decide, I'm going to cycle across Europe?
Yeah, it was pretty much that.
I thought you were going to say, why do I never have thoughts like that in the morning?
Yeah, no, I didn't even have a bike before I did it. No, because I finished college and I was like, all right, what will I do now? And I wanted to go travelling, and so I was like, okay, I'll go travelling. And then I thought sitting on a train might be a bit boring. So I googled it. I was like, I wonder if you can cycle it. So I did some googling, and you can. So I went into Mum's like, here. Went into Mum, I was like, I'm going to cycle across Europe. And she was like, yeah, I'm not, you can't do that. She was like, where are you going to sleep? I was like, I'll sleep in a tent. She's like, no, don't be silly, you can't do it. I will. So I saved up and bought a bike, and then I went, okay, I got on the ferry and then landed, and I was like, right, okay, let's do some cycling. So, yeah.
But for you, obviously, was there a background in cycling, or was it something that you would actively?
No, I hadn't cycled in years. Like I cycled, learn how to ride a bike when I was a kid, and cycle around the estate and the block. No, I was telling these guys earlier, I failed PE in school.
There's hope for me.
Yeah, no, I got an F in PE, and then yes. Yeah, no, I'm not sporty. I like going for walks, and I like being out and about and swimming and that kind of thing. But it was notions more so than anything. Absolute notions.
But when you decide to take on a journey like that, what was it daunting? I think more your mum telling you you're not going to do it. You're probably thinking, I'm going to do it now just to spite you. But how did you prepare to do it, or did you prepare?
I bought a bike.
A good start.
Yeah, I bought a bike and I bought some panniers. I went to my auntie, her brother's involved in cycling, so I went and I asked him, I was like, what kind of bike do I need? And he said, a touring bike. And I went, great, can you help me look for one? And then he went, this seems like a good one. I went, cool. So bought the bike, and then the bike arrived. I was like, okay. And I cycled. How did I prepare? I cycled down to Newport once. I was like, I'll get fit on the way. It'll be great. And I did. Your body is strong and it can adapt. So
yeah, it's amazing.
No, I wish I was more like yeah.
No, I think that's actually a great story to have, because sometimes I think, and we'll delve into this a little bit more, people feel intimidated when someone comes from a very sporting or a very active background, because they think, oh well, I'm not like that anyway. That's certainly the way I would feel about a lot of those things, where you'd encounter someone who's very active or successful. So I think it's great. We'll come back and delve into a little bit more about your travels in just a minute. But Katrina, on that, now that's a very, very interesting story, but it kind of, doesn't it go against the findings that you've had when looking at girls cycling? It's kind of, that's the very positive side of what doesn't seem to be the majority of cases.
Absolutely, Angelina. In the Green Schools Travel Programme have been promoting cycling in schools over the past 10 years, and we noticed that teenage girls really wanted to cycle, but there were only 1 in about 10 teenagers who were cycling were girls, which is a really low number. So we started questioning this as to why is this happening. So last year, in 2019, my colleague Katrina Bugel, she started her research in Dublin, and the way she did it was she set up these research focus groups where she would meet with a group of girls and informally would have a discussion with them about their experiences of cycling, positive and also then the negatives as to what was stopping them cycling. And from that then, there was a launch of the event in September, pretty much like what we're having here today, where there were photos displayed, and then they watched the video of andshecycles, and they had a panel discussion. And what was coming out of this, so from this then we had research groups all over the country, and Lucas and we conducted research focus groups in County Mayo over the past month. And we were looking at the barriers which were stopping girls from cycling, and we're finding surprising results. It wasn't just the lack of infrastructure, cycling infrastructure. It wasn't just the concerns about safety, but you also had specific concerns for girls who wanted to cycle. And one of these was girls, even though they love cycling, they realise it's really good for their health, the environment, socially, they don't think cycling is cool. And they feel they're stigmatised when they're cycling. And I was very disappointed when I heard that and learned about it, because I cycled in the 1990s in Mayo, and I felt I was stigmatised at that time. But I thought things would have come on from then, because back then there wasn't much emphasis on cycling, there wasn't much cycling infrastructure. And so now we're talking over 20 years later, you still have cycling being stigmatised. And it's disappointing, because there's so much more emphasis now on gender equality, and we're more aware of climate change, the environmental, social benefits. So obviously more needs to be done. Education. Looking at from children. What's happening when we're younger? What's happening? We notice in research there's way more boys than girls participating in sports. Parents, I really do believe, have a part to play in that as well. But in any case, it was surprising to see.
Yeah, it is. It's really surprising. I suppose, Catherine, maybe looking at where you've kind of come from, you're one of those intimidating people for me who's active, successful in sport, but you're a nice girl. But when you said to me even out there exactly what you said here when we started, that you do a little bit of recovery, but when it comes to cycling,
a lot of people might think that's mad, because you're using a lot of energy, obviously, when you're cycling. But if I had a big game at the weekend, on the Monday, I live out just here in town. I'm right beside the Greenway out to Turlough Road, so I'm lucky in that way. I'd hop on the bike, nothing strenuous at all, just a casual cycle onto the Greenway out to Turlough House, grab a coffee. It's just good for the head, stretches out the legs. That's really what I kind of use cycling for. I cycle to work anytime I can, weather permitting. And there was one time I cycled competitively. It was the Westport Siege Summit. We took part of it. We took part in it through here in the movement. There were 6 of us that.
I saw that.
Yeah, so it was Team Sully. So everyone calls me Sully Sullivan, and then Team Joe. And there was one guy who's a cyclist. He's a national champion, Liam Corcoran, and he works here. And he was just mad to win it out. But I was the only girl that out of the 6, there was 5 boys, and I was the only girl out of the 6 of us, and I ended up winning the event out of the 6 of us. So I just got him on the last cycle. No, sorry, he got me in the last cycle, but I got him in the last run. But he's still traumatised over it. He won't let it go. But I love it. I wouldn't at all competitively.
But would you have had an experience, we'll say, just to bring it in with the research, when you started playing GAA? I know it's not a million years ago, but even if you hear, some of the big stars of the game talking about, when they first started playing, that there weren't ladies' clubs, they had to, pitch in with lads' clubs.
Oh, absolutely.
Was there a stigma, do you think, attached, or were you ever conscious of it when you started playing?
I suppose. When I was younger, all my cousins would have been boys, so I was kind of the only girl, and I'd be out playing football with them and doing whatever I could to be better than them nearly. I was very biggest tomboy ever when I was younger. But then I got involved then at a young age with Casper Mitchell's here in town, and of course it was small numbers, but today there's under 8s, there's about 40, 50 of them. It's mad, it's huge, it's huge, it's brilliant. Conscious, I don't think I ever was. Now that's just me, but I know a lot of my friends, growing up through school, national school, we didn't have a football team, unfortunately, with St Angela's, but I know now they do. And then once you go into secondary school, you have your first year team, your junior team, senior team, but you form new friends, so then these new friends might be interested in sport, so that's where I think the dropout comes with growing through school years.
Absolutely.
But the whole conscious thing, I think it's, as one of the girls said in the video, the fear of being judged by appearance and all that, and It still happens. It's sad that it still happens really at this day and age, but it's definitely getting better. Like, and I think there's nearly more women's sports stars than men's sports stars, and young girls are looking up to the women's sports stars more so than the men anymore. You know, so it used to be
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think what you were saying there about clubs and the numbers involved in ladies clubs, especially in this county. That has come off the back of a lot of the success that the Mayo ladies have had, because people look up to these players and say,
100%.
you know, we want to emulate that one day.
Yeah, and even the numbers coming to games, like they launched a great campaign there a year or two ago in 2020, and like it was basically an all-inclusive movement to shift Ireland's culture basically on women's sport, this perspective. And by 2020 there was a 20% increase in media coverage on women's sport, 20% increase on people going to the events, and just everything social media. We've little on board with women's sport and everything, so it's just getting bigger, and it will continue to get bigger. But like, you have your Cora Staunton, Sarah Rose, you've your Katie Taylor, you know, you've massive women's sports stars now, and it's just amazing, really.
Yeah, and I think, you know, maybe we're at the start of something here with the likes of this as well, when it comes to cycling. And you look at Maeve Gallagher, and her achievements have been phenomenal over the last few years. She's on a huge upward curve, so we'll come back to that in a few minutes as well. Myself and this girl were talking about getting names wrong earlier, because I said, tell me the pronunciation of your name again. So Ariadna. Perfect. Yeah. I was saying I've been called a lot of different things as well. You mentioned earlier on that the big thing for you was the sustainable side of it.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that and where you came to it. Girls, I haven't forgotten about you at all. We'll be chatting with you now properly in a second.
Well, I got more involved. My teacher, Miss Doherty, is there. Yeah, in first year I came into school, and I signed up for absolutely everything. I had every break, all the extracurriculars. I had 3 things on a Tuesday. I'd go for 10 minutes of each. I just wanted to do everything. So that's how I got into cycling, and because there was some different green school projects going on, or different competitions. So I just was like, okay, something else to do. So I just got on my bike and started cycling to school, and then from there I got involved with things like tidy towns and green schools, and just promoting that within the schools was the main interest for me.
Yeah, so from that perspective, are you surprised by the research from green schools? I know you're probably more aware of it because you've been involved at that level, but were you surprised at kind of the gulf between the figures?
Of women?
Yeah.
Not at all.
Really?
Because myself, even, because I know it's not just within young girls' head, having going out there and cycling, luckily I have thick skin, and I don't take I have much to heart, but I would have different routes to go to school, because when I'd leave school the boys would shout at me across the river, or like laugh or harass me in a sense. And even some, I remember in second year there was even some 6th year girls, and like in second year 6th year girls are like, oh, terrifying. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Even talking about it, or they didn't realise I went back and I smiled at them, because I didn't really care much, just to know that I'd heard what they said anyways. But it's definitely real.
And do you mind me asking what kind of things, or is that?
They just like shout at me, or just yell names across. It was, for example, I'd go, there's a river in the centre of Westport, I'd go along one side and they'd be on the other shouting there. In first year was extreme, because we come out of school and the Duns of Sense clothes with boys would go there, they'd buy biscuits and they'd throw them at the girls. It was very extreme in first year. You remember this now, yeah. So it might have changed since then, but first, second year, the fear is genuine for girls cycling, because it is real. People who do make fun of it or talk of it, and it's just a lot of societal things, or their own self-consciousness, I think, coming out.
Yeah, it's shocking to me. I didn't need to do it in national school, because I lived right across from the national school, so I literally had 30 seconds of a walk. But I can't grasp why people would abuse other people for choosing to cycle.
Yeah, I don't understand it either.
Of course, yeah.
Immaturity more than anything, but it's just a lot of, well, especially with girls, the whole perception of, from even a young age, it's always as sports are pushed onto boys, and then girls have all the other nice areas. So yeah, it's just a lot of societal views, I think, perspectives on gender roles.
Yeah. We'll come back to that, because that's definitely something I want to chat to the entire panel about. Now, I haven't forgotten girls. We'll ignore them for a little while again. And can I start with you? And maybe just, I suppose, in general, you've given us a very brief outline at the beginning of, your involvement in cycling. And I think the three of you said something similar, that you just enjoy it, you like doing it. But has it always been a part of your life, Anne, or when did you start?
No, I only learned how to cycle last summer. Like, I didn't even know how to cycle before that. So basically, I moved to Ireland when I was in like first class, and so it's around the age where most people learn how to cycle. So, but then we just moved, so I didn't have a bike or anything, and then it just got put off. So when I went to uni, my family there are really into being health conscious and fit and like cycling. So he thought, my uncle taught me how to cycle, and when I came back, he kept pushing my parents to buy me a bike. So that's when I finally got my first bike was last summer. So then my dad got sick, so he couldn't drive at all. So I was kind of forced to have to cycle everywhere. Okay. And then I realised that I really enjoyed it. Like at the start, in my head I was like, oh, everyone's going to be looking at me. I hated it at the start. And then I realised, like, I see other people cycling. I don't really care that they're cycling. So I was like, no one really cares. So, and then I hate walking. So like it takes me half an hour to walk somewhere, and if I'm on a bike I can get there in like 5 minutes. So I love that about it.
When you mentioned there, and that's interesting to me, what other people will think, and I know, and I don't want to sound cliched, that's a huge part of school life for girls especially. So is that a serious consideration, or was it for you? What will people think of me doing this? What will I look like doing this?
Everyone thinks that, even when my friends they all think like, oh, my friends are going to make fun of me, but like, to be honest, no one really thinks about it. Like, no one really cares. It's mostly in our heads.
Yeah. It probably could go for an awful lot of stuff. There's an awful lot you have to think about at secondary school, and I'm aware of that, and kind of, there are little cliques and gangs, and but you haven't let that bother you, obviously, since you started it, in terms of what other people think. What's the best part of it? As you said, apart from getting there in 5 minutes instead of having to walk a half hour, what's the best part about cycling?
I like just being on my own and enjoying nature, and just,
Would you take the bike out for leisure purposes?
Yeah, like as she said, I live right by the Greenway, so I can go there. Like, I'm not very comfortable going out on the roads because the cars just scare me. So I like being able to go somewhere where there's no road cars, so I can just don't have to worry about that and just like go down for a ride. Yeah.
Fiona, maybe we'll kind of get your background, as I said, in terms of cycling. So for you, when did the love of cycling start?
I think it was around 14.
Okay.
I'm not really sure, but I think it was because Emer asked me to go out for a cycle. And I was like, sure, why not? And then
easily swayed.
Yeah, and I think it was summer or something, so we did a lot of it over summer when we were around 14. And it kind of just developed to be something I liked.
So how far are you away from school, from Davos College?
It would probably take me about half an hour.
But do you cycle most days?
I don't cycle to school.
Oh, you don't cycle to school, okay. And is there a reason for that, or is it just because it's awkward, or?
Well, it is awkward. I live out in the middle of nowhere.
Absolutely.
In the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
And in 50 or heavy bags. No. Yeah. I don't have a pannier or anything like that, so.
Okay.
That's a bit of a fear of my bike being stolen in school.
Is that a real fear?
Oh yeah.
It's obviously happened, has it?
Not to me, but I have seen a few people having their bike stolen, or some people just taking their bike and messing around. Like, they wouldn't even take it, but they might just take it around school and then put it back.
Jeez.
Yeah. I don't know.
Bit of an issue.
I'm so glad that I'm not in secondary school. Sometimes I give out about getting up for work in the morning, but I think I choose that. So obviously your cycling is primarily recreational then, so is it? So how often would you cycle, or?
It wouldn't be too often around this time of year anyway.
Yeah,
so
of course.
In summer, it'd be maybe once a week, twice a week, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whenever I feel like going out.
Yeah. And obviously, Emer, you're being blamed for Fiona's love of it. So what about yourself? Had you started then? Did you get into it earlier?
Yeah, I was around 13ish, and I've kind of done a little bit of racing as well. That was an interesting experience. I threw myself straight into the Mayo, which is a very tough race.
It absolutely is.
The first race to ever do, but I don't really race anymore. It's not really my thing. I think I might in the future possibly, but it was good crack. But the main thing I just like about it is going out and seeing places. Like, you say you want to travel, but do you really know your own area? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you see a lot. Like, I've seen some beautiful places in Mayo, and you thinking that they're right on your doorstep. Really, it's quite amazing.
go back to just throwing yourself straight into racing. What was that about?
It wasn't went straight into racing. It was when I was in second year, I think. It was probably February, the Ross Mayo was, and I kind of was like, you know, look what we'll do. It really improves your fitness. My second race was a lot better. 3 days later, I broke my elbow.
Cycling?
Yes. That was an interesting experience. It didn't put me off, you know.
Yeah, because a friend of mine actually did that a few years ago. It's obviously one of the common ones if you come off in a certain way. Yeah. But it kind of put her off a little bit going out on the roads.
I was just really annoyed. I was so fit. I lost it all.
You have a great attitude towards it. But you mentioned there that getting to see the county, getting to do that recreational cycling. That's a motivation for you.
Yeah, that happened because I joined Ann Lady Cycling Club. So every Sunday, I don't go out as much often now, but I went out for the first one in a while last Sunday. It was fabulous. Yeah. Like I've gone places I wouldn't have expected. I, know the county a lot better, and sometimes the routes are put up on the WhatsApp, and I don't know where that is. I remember, I think one of the best cycles we ever had was. I didn't know it was 80 kilometres. I didn't know I had to go up a hill that was about half an hour climb. But once you got to the top, it was just beautiful. It was really magnificent, And to think that, it was kind of horrible while I was doing it, but it was really nice afterwards, if you know what I mean.
Do you, any of the girls who are students, and I'll come back around to you, do you find it hard to marry it though with school?
Yeah, I would absolutely love to cycle. I would cycle any day of the week. Maybe not snow or something, but I would. I just don't trust putting my bike at school, and it's really quite annoying.
Would that be kind of when you're I know, as you said, it's probably a distance for you as well. But
for myself, I wouldn't even mind that. Like for myself, I have a way around town where I can avoid most of the traffic.
That's a good idea.
I can get to schools, but I'd love to. I really would, and I think maybe this year, because our Green Schools flag is the travel flag that we're working on, so hopefully we can do something about the bike racks.
Fiona, do you find does it put pressure on you in terms of your studies to get out? Can you get out as often, or is it something that happens?
Probably not, because I go to after school study and I come home and it's dark.
Okay, so you can't really then.
No, not really.
Yeah. And Anne, what about yourself?
I'm in TY right now, so I have a lot of stuff outside of school, but that's just encouraged me more because I find it easier to cycle to places than go in the car with the traffic and everything. Yeah. So I cycle more now than I ever did before.
Really?
And I've been
I'd say have time to.
Yeah, I'm in walking distance to my school anyway, so it's not like I'm getting in the car.
But does it interrupt? Obviously, studies now with research, it interrupts things a little bit. Does it from a cycling perspective?
Yeah, given the reason I was involved in all that, I should put a lot of that aside this year.
Of course, yeah. Isn't it interesting, Katrina, to hear the views of the various panel members, because I think they're all coming from kind of different backgrounds. But I suppose it doesn't surprise you you've looked at it so in such depth with the research, but does any of it surprise you, or?
Not particularly. I mean, it's lovely to hear the positive responses as well. Yeah. And even cycling at your leisure is wonderful to hear. And you would have mentioned there about how when you're younger, and you would have mentioned a little bit too, Catherine, that parents do encourage boys to be active more than they encourage girls. I do believe our parents are our role models. And if we are to look at a solution, I do believe that we need to encourage parents to instill a love of physical activity with their girls as much as their boys. And research has shown in Ireland that 9-year-old boys, if you ask them what hobby they have, over 80% of them will include a sport, while only 33% of 9-year-old girls will include a sport in one of their hobbies. So I think from a very young age, it's looking at making that shift and bringing about that change. And I say with you girls, you obviously you like getting out, walking, cycling, which is wonderful. And I'm sure it started from a young age as well, where you were out and about, experiencing some sort of activity, or you've seen your parents do it, for instance, or they encouraged you. They built your confidence to do that. Would I be right in saying that?
Even subliminally though, if you turn on sports as a kid, it's nearly always the male football players or whatever you see on the screen, or in cartoons that you show children, whoever's doing sports. Either it's a female character whose only personality trait is she does sports, or it's just a boy who has a hobby. So
it's not developed. It's not around it. Yeah.
It's just the whole social. It's not even. It's largely parents as well, but it's just that's what people are exposed to from such a young age. Yeah.
And I mean, Katrina and Lucas were both from your own perspective in the counties that you're working in. You know, Mayo and Galway have such fabulous cycling facilities in terms of greenway development that's happening apace in both of them. So the facilities are there in terms of that, aren't they? Or are they?
Slowly but surely.
Well, I'm totally happy with the with facilities like Greenway. This is like I think it's becoming very much of a thing in Ireland now to have greenways everywhere. It's just beautiful. If we connect the whole country in greenways, that'd be the most wonderful thing, and I think it would bring tourism and stuff. But talking to the girls in schools, one of the things I've heard was infrastructure and not feeling safe on the road. And I'm part of the road safety committee here in Mayo as well, and we talk about those things. But if you look at the infrastructure in town itself, there's very little of this thing. And moving into 21st century with climate really collapsing with climate change now, if we don't move into sustainable ways of living and transporting ourselves, like we will get as humans into trouble. And we're already in trouble, so we really need to think about how can we speed it up. Like, how do we encourage those girls to cycle more, like on a daily basis to school if we don't have those facilities in place? And infrastructure can be an easy way out. Like, I don't cycle because there's no infrastructure. Obviously, I hear the girls are actually cycling outside school, which is great, But then, if we were to do it on a bigger scale, if we do like really. As a society, as a community, we need those things in place.
Yeah, absolutely. Saoirse, I think that might come nicely in with your experience. So you told us earlier you decided one morning, because I'm still in awe of you for this, you woke up and said I'm going to cycle across Europe. So what was your experience of other countries in Europe and women cycling?
And women cycling?
Yeah. Like, were you treated any differently? Did anyone take any notice? What?
Oh yeah, no, they'd notice. I look mental. No, they would. Then especially like France and stuff. There's a lot of cycling going around there. People are on their holiday cycling. But once you get further into and further east, I'd rock up in this town that no one goes to. No, kind of drive through towns.
Yes,
Oh yeah, can I have a coffee? They'd be looking at my bike and they'd be looking at me, being like, "Where you from?" And then kind of we'd try and communicate this kind of crack of, I'm from Ireland, I'm going to Romania, and they're like, no. And then, but then they're like, here, have a coffee. I'm like trying to pay. They're like, no. They're like, fair play.
Because they think she's that cracked.
No,
I'm drunk. But it's just, it'd be interesting to hear, was it any different? But it obviously wasn't much different. There's still kind of people looking at you going, no way.
But if a man did the same thing, like it would be the same thing. It's just the distance, and you're rocking up, and you're, it's pissing rain, and you're kind of going up, and they just okay. And they're like, "Where are you sleeping?" I'm like, "I'm a tent, we're grand."
Had you any point? How long did it take you, first of all, in total?
It took me 3 months to get to Romania, and then I did another one because after Romania, Mum was actually saying Mum was saying on the chair. I had actually forgotten that I landed in Romania. And I called her up and was like, "How are you?" She's like, "How are you? I can't get any further. I'm in Romania. I've no money. What will I do?" She's like, "I don't know, cycle home." But anyway, I went to Berlin.
Good answer. I like it.
I got a train to Berlin, and because my uncle lives there, so I spent a couple of months in Berlin, and I left my bike there, and then I did another one. I came home, made a bit of money, and then collected my bike, and then cycled back, getting ferries to cycle over the ocean. But what was the question again?
No, I was asking how long it took, and then the second part of that.
3 months there, and then a month and a half.
Had you any point where you thought, why did I decide to do this?
Oh yeah. I had a few breakdowns. But it was grand because, there'd be sometimes, and you'd be so tired, you'd be cycling for hours and hours, and it's just raining. And then, there was one stage I was cycling for a week. This was on the way back from Berlin, and I cycled in April, and it was snowing, it was raining, there were like 25-kilometre winds going against me, and I wasn't getting anywhere. I was just pedaling. I had plastic bags over my socks, my feet, try and keep something dry. And then you're putting up your tent and it's raining, and then you're taking it down, it's raining, you're just wet for a week. And I remember when I was cycling along, and I was like, this is horrible. What am I doing? I'm doing this for the crack, like, you know. And then I was like, this is mental. And I saw a sign for a hotel, and I went, I don't care how much it costs. I went in, and I was like,
hence the reason she had no money left.
and I said, I'd give you a room, and then it was great. I had a shower, slept in bed, and then you're refreshed, you know. It's just that it does get you down because you're.
Is it lonely, or was it lonely?
No, you're alone, but you're not lonely. Like, you're having the crack. Like, I'd be going around singing, you know, and chatting to myself, and you know, losing your marbles a little bit. No, because you'd be like, I remember one day, and I thought it was the best ever because I saw 3 otters. You know, and I'd never seen an otter. I'm like, whoa, an otter, class. You know, it's that kind of stuff. And then, you know, you sit down, you have a coffee, like, you're stimulated all the time and you're pumped up on endorphins, and you're just, you're having the crack. Like, it's tough sometimes, of course. Like, I'd get lost and I'd be in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, why am I here? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, why am I? It's silly. But you enjoyed it. But that's I had, how many breakdowns did I have? I think I had 3 breakdowns where I just went crying, and because, like, you know, there was sometimes, like, it was a bit dangerous. Like, I was going into, where was I going into? What's the capital of Serbia again? Belgrade. I was going into Belgrade, and at this stage, Mum was going to be annoyed now. But I was going in, and it was dark, and it was rush hour, and it was this tiny little road, because there's no bike lanes. It was this tiny little road, and it was dark, and it was buses just going. And I was like, just had all my high vis on and my helmet, just like, and I kept having to turn in because the buses were beeping at me, being like, get off the road. So I was like this. I was like, okay, you're not allowed to die. Mum will kill you if you die. Like, you know, this kind of stuff.
We won't go too deep into that point.
This thing of, you know, like, just the fear of being like, every now and then I realise it's silly, but then that's, you know, one day in a month.
Well, I did not, because I'm just after, I'll tell everybody, but my aunt is now coming back from Vietnam. Well, I landed into Knock today, and the one thing I found there which is interesting is everyone drives a motorbike. They're not hugely high powered, but the men and women drive motorbikes, and we got a bike because my husband has a need for speed for 4 or 5 days that we were there, but the exact same experience of there's buses, and I was saying to him, we're going to die on this bike, and he's like, we won't, but they're tooting to get off, and it's incredibly intimidating. But there was no gender imbalance in that there was as many women on the motorbikes as there were men. There was no one looking at a woman. I think we would look at a woman a little bit on a motorbike here and go, oh, she's on a motorbike, you know. So it's interesting. Sometimes the countries that you think aren't as progressive, you know. But Lucas, you had a point there. That was just to tell everyone I was in Vietnam.
I was just wondering, because what was your favourite moment of this cycle trip? You know, there are.
Oh, my favourite moment. There's too many. There's too many. Like, every day there was so many moments. It was like waking up, and you sleep where you want, and you'd wake up, and then there's just a river, and the sun will shine down on you, and you're having the crack. Like, you know, it was every moment. Like, you know, it's like the amount of sunsets and sunrises I saw, and, you know, washing in a river, and, you know, like, and, you know, I say, like, you look ridiculous. I cycled across Europe, my knickers were drying in the wind, and so, you know, I'd go.
So girls, next time you go cycling to Castlebar, get the wash and dry.
But you just kind of, like, there comes a stage when I'm like,
Charlie's left.
You don't.
He heard knickers and he's gone.
No, like,
I'm joking.
Yeah, it was all the time.
We'll get rid of the rest of the men in the room now.
Yeah, and the kindness of people as well, and, like, you get to see, you experience the world in a different way, you know, because it's yourself that's pushing yourself forward. You get a great sense of distance. It's meditative, you know. And it's, you were saying it's like it clears the head and it gets you going. There was too many moments to.
And girls, I'm just interested when you hear Saoirse talking like that. Does that, Anne, only heighten your passion for cycling, or is it something that you like? Have we turned you off?
No, I'd like to be able to do that, but
You can. I googled it. You can. It's fine. She'll do the route plan. When you're allowed to money.
There is.
Yeah,
there's route plans all around Europe. It's called Eurovelo. So I did Eurovelo. I can't remember what one it was, but 12. I did Eurovelo 12. So I went across. But there's loads of ones. There's up and down the Mediterranean, and this is the one I was like. Yeah.
What are the main things that, as we start maybe wrapping up, and we'll get some questions maybe hopefully from from the audience, and what are the main things that keep you cycling?
Probably, I don't really know. Just
Do you get that kind of release of endorphins?
Yeah.
Does it makes you feel better?
Yeah, like I wouldn't be going outside otherwise, because like I said, I hate walking, so there's really no reason for me to go outside. And like usually I'm on my phone indoors, and like when I cycle I can't really go do that, so then like I'm kind of forced to be out enjoying nature. And then
Are many of your classmates or friends who are female doing the same thing though? Do they cycle?
not to school, but a lot of them do enjoy cycling. They do it in their spare time, but a lot of them are afraid, like what people are going to say, like of doing it to school.
Fiona, I know we touched on traffic there with Lucas, and is that something that would put you, well, I think you mentioned, Emer, you have a route to avoid some of the traffic, but would the traffic intimidate you?
Oh yeah, I don't like roundabouts. Like, I know how to use them and approach them.
Thank you, same as with Pink Ribbon, they terrify me.
Some people in their cars, they either don't indicate or they're just not looking, and it's terrifying. Like, I don't know, like I know it's illegal to cycle on the footpath, but when it's a dangerous road, I do. I'd like to stay alive.
Yeah, it's kind of important. I find that myself. And well, Emer, same question to you. Is traffic, it must be a factor for you, or the safety on roads, something that you think a lot about?
I was spent last Sunday, and it's 45 kilometres that I did, and I was thinking about going into town. I was coming down the Ballinrobe Road, and I was thinking about going into town, and I was like, you know what, I should pretty much go into town and go on the roundabouts. I know how to use them. It probably wouldn't been that busy, but I opted for the N5.
I get it.
The N5 to the Alnady turn, which was actually a little bit traumatic as well. There's about 3 that give me about that much space, but I've had bad experiences, but it kind of doesn't put me off either, you know. But I can certainly see how traffic would be a huge deterrent for a lot of girls and everyone really.
Do you think cycling lanes would improve things for you then, girls?
Oh yeah.
More of them.
Separated though, because the cycle lanes.
There are cycling lanes. That's right. Yeah.
They're not the best, you've got the stones and the little bits of rubble from the road, and then there's this nice big drain that you have to avoid, and
sometimes they just completely end.
That's
just suddenly stop. The ones in
really
Casper last for like a total of 10 seconds, and then you're back on the road.
The end.
Yeah, it's interesting, Catherine. We go back. Well, what we started with you talking about with you was, I suppose, your obvious success in sport, and it's a sport that's thriving here. Do you think maybe we're at the start of something now that we're talking about the issues that we're facing for girls cycling, where 2020 or even going back years before that, where there was promotion undertaken to ensure people knew what was going on in the ladies' game, that we're maybe at a turning point now where we're saying, right, this needs to happen, and it may be a breaking point in a positive way for cycling?
Yeah, 100%. Just to go back to what Katrina said about parents like getting their kids involved at such a young age. When I was younger, like my father passed away when I was very young, and usually it's in most situations it's your dad bringing you to training or to matches and everything. So I didn't have that, but my mother, I had great support at home. My mum brought me across the country to running cross countries, played matches, basketball, football, soccer, whatever it was. But I think, like, I'm just bringing that up because I'm sure in a lot of households with single parents, maybe kids that don't have any parents, I think it's so important at a young age in those kind of situations to get kids involved in any sort, like if it's cycling, but any sort of sport at all. I met a guy, Stevie Burke, I'm sure a few people know him. He does a lot with Feroiga here in Castlebar, and I was telling him about this event tonight, and to bring his 11-year-old, and she's actually training. She's after getting asked to train with Irish Development Squad with gymnastics. And she's 11 years old. So like, there's such a range of sports. I think teachers play a massive role because we spend most of our days in school really as kids, like, and they're doing such brilliant jobs. But I think there could be an extra push there to get people interested in a sport, in cycling, and athletics, basketball, anything really. And we're definitely getting there, 100%. But still a long way to go. Like, but in regards to women cycling and playing sport, the whole 2020 campaign is fantastic, and I think maybe they should include more aspects along cycling now that I've heard so many stories. They haven't really. I don't know any really situations that they've touched on with cycling, but it's something that they should definitely look into, and down the line I'm sure they will, because women's sport is just getting massive.
Yeah, and Katrina, that's interesting too, because we'll get some questions, as I say. Hopefully we'll have some of them from the group that are here, but it doesn't necessarily have to be someone at Maeve Gallagher's level of things, Catherine's level of things when it comes to ladies football. It can be done, as the girls have told, in varying degrees, at whatever level you would like to incorporate it into your life in. And when it comes to cycling, isn't that probably one of the big take-home messages that people can bring with them?
Absolutely, yeah. It's wonderful to hear that you just started cycling. Was it in the summer gone by? It really is. It's a skill that anybody can pick up, and anybody can cycle whenever. And there's so many benefits. I mean, talking there about the endorphins. Also, just when the oxygen, like 20% of your oxygen is used by your brain, so it really makes you more alert, and it helps you with your studies. There's this environmental benefits, the social benefits. I mean, I'm sure, Catherine, you've made so many friends through sports, and even you on your travels here have met people. It's social connector, and now with this, it's like a magic pill, a green pill that we can take for mental health issues, physical health issues, social issues, community as well. Brings communities together more when you have safer cycle paths and lower speed limits. In Dublin now, most of the speed limits are 30 kilometres per hour. And I mean, that's what we need to be looking to achieve all over the country.
We have an election on Saturday. Don't go there. I managed to avoid, for the first time in 20 years, the build-up to an election, because I changed job and I was on holiday. But are we doing enough at that level, or is enough being done at that level? The girls have mentioned cycle lanes that finish, after 10 seconds. I think someone said they can literally finish all of a sudden. Yeah. So, are we doing enough on it?
I'm afraid to say we're not. There's so much more we can be doing. Absolutely. At the end of the day, if you're going to feel safe, you're going to use it. Like the Greenway, so many people use the Greenway all the time. I really do believe if the infrastructure is there, and once the education is there as well, where the green schools come in, where the sports partnership come in, and you're offering training and cycle training with a lot of the girls, and the girls are getting cycle training from the cycle sports partnership. It's wonderful. And as you were saying there about the roundabouts, they're so unsafe for cyclists. We need to have traffic lights, or an actual cycle, the toucan crossings where you allow cyclists to pass and pedestrians. And it's only when you cycle you realise these things. And we do work with the council, and we need to continue to work with them and to advise them what us cyclists would like to have.
So do we have any questions for this fascinating panel? I would literally sit here for the night listening to the stories. But anyone have any questions from the floor?
Just a comment on that mention and that thing you were saying there. Just by chance last day I attended the annual general meeting of the Tidy Towns in Westport. I just realized this is the place to just say all those things that we all see that should be improved.
Absolutely.
So obviously they happen every January, now I know, you know what I mean? So I think it was very poor attendance, and mainly were older people. Mm-hmm. So I was saying, where are all the young, where are my age or younger, in there to just say their bit, and these type of things. It would be a great forum because they are looking for ideas. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure these tidy towns can be replicated in Casablanca and other towns around Mayo on the country, to use those opportunities we have to communicate those messages at the right time, in the right place, to the right people. So, I say my pitch or whatever, but I never thought at that moment on the cycling side of things, and yes, it would have been great to say it there. A lot of people spoke and they are getting some of those ideas from the audience, especially if the voice is loud in the audience, you know.
But going forward, hopefully, like things like this will inform it, and this is the start of it. This is a nationwide campaign, which is fantastic, and I think very fitting that we're kicking it off in Mayo as well, because there's a huge wealth of knowledge and want to improve things. So I think going forward, it's a great way to arm
venue
people.
to use. Definitely, I felt like, oh God, I should have been here before every year. Okay.
But there are things I think we all learn, you know.
Absolutely.
Just to touch on this as well, like part of our work at Green Schools is to conduct walkability and psychability audits, and that's what we do at schools, and always forwarding this to Mayo County Council here, or in the other councils across the country, and we find them very helpful.
Yes.
But the process is pretty slow. When you think about, we have 10 years to kind of limit greenhouse emissions all over the world. We have really 10 years to stop the biggest crisis that we as a humanity face, and we really need to think about it a bit more, you know.
Yeah. And I think, you know, where processes are slow, to be fair to local authorities, they have so many hoops to jump through with the NTA and with you know, with the roads authority and all of that when they need to make changes for anything on roads. So you know, it's kind of a process that unfortunately takes so much time, you know, is the big thing.
I'm just wondering, Katrina, were you involved with the cycle bus that's in Knocknacarra?
I'm aware of it, but no, I wasn't. Yeah. My colleague Tiernan McCusker, he lives near enough.
That looks very impressive.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
I know I spoke to one of the teachers there, was last year sometime. They have, I suppose on average, they have about 20 or 30 children, 20 children, I suppose, most mornings cycling to school. But he was telling me, and I think this is what it all comes back to, and the likes of these campaigns, awareness, like when they started, and they had the children cycling, and they'd have however amount of parents cycling in front and behind and whatever, they were getting tooted off the road, you know, completely. But as time went on, and now, he said they expect them, and they know they're on the road.
And you'd probably make that little bit extra time if they,
But they're just there now, and they know, and it's moving on. So I think it's going down to an awareness of cyclists on the road, you know, and them kids are flying.
In fairness, I also heard, because it was going for a while, they actually went off the main roads where there are cycle lanes, because they are still too narrow and they're not separated. And we had this safety concerns as well, and they changed the route to feel a bit safer with the children.
And I get, you know, what the girls were saying about that, because the few times I've done the Pink Ribbon and Strictly Leisure roundabouts terrify me, you know, or coming back into the towns terrifies me, because there's traffic everywhere, and the ad campaigns have been brilliant in kind of making some people aware, but not all. You know, they're right up beside you, you know.
The Velo City, do you remember that was in Dublin last year, the Velo City conference? I went up to that through work, like, you know, and I got the email, and, you know, you're booked in and whatever, would you like to get a bike from Houston to the conference centre? And I was like, yeah, that'd be good, you know, I could do that, it'd be better than a taxi or whatever. And then I had a second thought, and I said, hang on a second.
I was going to say, dear, I'd never do it.
No, when I thought about it, cycling down by the Liffey to the conference and buses and everything, I just thought, no. And there was a big discussion there then as well, the infrastructure, what's not there when it comes to cycling. So, you know.
Yes, Rebecca.
So I'm from Dublin, and I cycle that route every day. So I'm quite lucky that I live at Howth, and I get to cycle for about 12 kilometres all along a beautiful greenway or blueway. And it's so beautiful and peaceful. Do have the odd mammal or middle-aged man in lycra. All of them telling you to move over, move in, or whatever. But it's mostly pretty peaceful. But like that, as soon as I hit the keys, you know, your life is in your hands, and it's negotiating with traffic, but it never stopped me, because I love cycling so much into work, and the benefits, like I'm in such a foul mood if I have to take a bus.
I know. And I can understand that, I'd say, when you know the mental health benefits, you know, when we're in an age of talking about better mental health.
But it's the difference, like I think, I mean, you wouldn't tell someone how to walk down the street, or you wouldn't tell someone. But the amount of, and I don't get it, there wouldn't be that many women cycling through Dublin City, there'd be a lot more now, but the amount of, I'd call them kind of more professional cyclists who like to point out, you know, to move over, or you could put your gear up or put your gear down, and it kind of interrupts your you know, how you're enjoying that cycle. And sometimes I get the sense that you feel a bit displaced, or and I think it's really important to have all these social conversations and to break down, because we were also we travelled with green schools around Europe. We've been to Spain and we've been to Copenhagen and we're going to Lithuania. We're looking at all of the cycling infrastructure and cycling cultures in those countries. And when we went to Copenhagen, we started speaking about gender and cycling. They didn't understand. They were like, but everyone cycles, girls, boys, men, women. It's not a divide. No one drops off. But even in the other countries, Spain, Lithuania and Ireland, there was that drop off with teen girls cycling. Because it was perceived as being more of a sporty thing for boys to do. For sure.
It's interesting. One of the things that I think is how do we build confidence? How do we build, not only confidence in cycling on the road, but just your own confidence? How do you deal with comments? How do you brush them off your thinking? And me, for mine, it's probably a different story as well, because I don't come across that many things. But in general, I heard Ariadna, right, talking about this, it's incredible. Thick skin, but it's just, whatever. And then I remember as well, I don't know who said it, but maybe it's just in your head as well. A lot of this, obviously if someone shouts at you, it's one thing, but if you think that someone is watching you or someone is talking about you behind your back, do you know how much attention do we give to that and how important that really is? Rather to stay inside and really have this confidence to just be yourself and do what you love, right? But on confidence note, Deirdre, could you tell us, because we've
Yes,
noticed...
I was going to ask Deirdre to come up maybe because, or sit there, whatever you're most comfortable with, but the sports partnership here in Mayo, I'm sure most people in the room are aware of the work that they do, but it's incredible. And I'm not just saying that because Deirdre's sitting here, over my years in radio in Mayo, I saw the development, the couch to 5Ks, the park runs, everything that they're involved in. There's been so much progression in terms of a lot of things, so it's great that you're involved in this as well, Deirdre.
Yeah, well, I suppose it was kind of to add something more to it, because so many times we have the panel discussions or the events, the one-off events, but it's just to add something more to it. We're going to offer the programme through Lucas. You're going to obviously discuss it with the schools and that. Our Sofa to Saddle programme. So our Sofa to Saddle, it'd be like a couch to 5K basically for the bike. So we usually run it during Bike Week, which is usually in June. And we would deliver it kind of in our hub areas, possibly Ballinrobe, Ballyhonus, then we'd have the likes Castlebar and Westport. And we would aim it more at adults to get out and get cycling. But we have offered you to deliver Sofa to Saddle programme. We have Jill here somewhere. Jill is here and going to deliver it. She's our cycle leader. To both the girls from St. Joseph's and Davitt. What I like about it as well is that the schools are coming together. If we get enough from Westport, I would gladly put it in Westport. There's no problem there.
Here's the moment to lead it. You only have to leave and start.
I mean, look, it's basic bike handling skills. It's a small bit of maintenance for the bike. It's what to wear. It's negotiating a certain amount of traffic and roundabouts and road safety and cycling in pairs and that. It's a really good starter programme. So we're going to do that with the girls from Davitt and the girls from St. Joseph's. We're going to run it by the bike, just at the bike clinic there, which is ideal.
Fantastic.
It goes straight onto the greenway. It's nice and safe. And I think it's nice that the two schools are coming together as well, rather than separating them, So that's a 6-week programme, and we're going to run that at lunchtime-ish class time, a little bit of an overlap into class time, so that we get girls to invest in it really, that they're not just doing it so they can get out of class. You have to give some of your own time, so there'll be a bit of both, but that it can come in under our Girls Active as well, where we're trying to encourage more girls to be physically active at lunchtime and after school. And it might appeal to some of them girls who are not playing necessarily the team sports or doing athletics or something like that.
I did that when I failed PE. They put me in Girls Active. It was great. I loved it. I loved it. It was so fun. We were doing Zumba and all this kind of stuff.
It's meant to be
fun, exactly. And
that is physically challenging. You don't have to go out and run 10 laps of whatever, to, you know, if you do your Zumba or if it's yoga or whatever. It's just finding something that maybe you get an opportunity or a chance when you're in school, and that maybe later in life you might go, God, I remember that, I tried it before.
I enjoyed it.
You give you the confidence, and you'll kind of go, yeah, sure, I can do that again, you know. So I think it ties in nicely with this, in that you're giving students something to have to go away and work on for 6 weeks. You
now,
know,
girls,
so.
it'll be completely flipped in its head now in this town. You'll be the ones that are the cool ones, when the ones this starts. So we have a prize. This was for someone who registered on Eventbrite, am I right, Rebecca, of one of the goodie bags, and the girls were looking in them as soon as they came in. They said they were big fans of them. So Kira with us.
Okay.
You have Kira when she was going to get up and have to cycle a bike. We'll pass it down to you. You're the winner. Give her a big round of applause. And thanks for being with us. Listen, thank you to everyone who came along. Will you give the panellists a huge round of applause? My only wish is that there weren't more here to experience, you know, what they've spoken about tonight. We could be here, literally I could be here for the night chatting to you about your experiences, because I enjoyed it so much, but it is kicking it off, and I think, girls, you've played a hugely important part in getting the word out there, and you know, as it goes around the country, I think you'll be a bigger part of it for a while. And keep up the cycling, won't you? The next trip we'll do tandem. Thanks a million, ladies and gentlemen.